Hi guys, if you couldn't tell, first and foremost, we have got a preview for Successor Taeyou, and we're going to break down everything about his kit, some thoughts about maybe where he'd be good, and some other really interesting considerations for him. Of course, though, this is day one, this is our first impression, so do with that what you will. Without further ado, though, let's take a look at his kit, his animation, and everything revolving him. So first off, sick, amazing animation. Very, very cool. Very slick, and for people that are or that have been waiting for an ML5 husbando, it's been a long time, by the way. This is a really cool looking character. First and foremost, just in terms of how he performs or how he looks design wise. That's not enough to necessarily sell people into, pulling for a character or thinking that a character is good. But that's okay, because we're gonna take a look at his kit right now. So aside from the attack percent imprint that you saw prior to this, in terms of stats, he looks pretty decent. He's got decently high attack, decent high HP and defense, and a pretty well-rounded speed at 109. Overall, you could probably assume at this point that he's not a character that would be used or be used in a very high speed sort of sense, but that'll make even more sense once we take a look at his kit. Now, moving along to this, we do have his first skill introduction, and this is with his skill 2. As you're seeing right now, once you have it max ranked, you start the fight with 60 fighting spirit, and whenever the combat readiness of an enemy is decreased, you gain fighting spirit equal to the amount of combat readiness reduced, which is really nice. But once your fighting spirit is full, you consume all fighting spirit to then increase the combat readiness of the caster by 100%, and you grant possession to yourself. Now, you might be wondering what this is referring to or what exactly this could look like. And for the example that they gave us, it's, well, using an S3 on Zio. And of course, someone like, or in this case, he already has 60. So 60 plus 50 takes you to 110%. And with the 110%, well, he guaranteed takes it, or, he's pushed up 100%, which in a lot of cases should mean that he's done, or that he should be able to take the turn. Now, we'll talk about possession here in a second, but of course, this is a really cool passive and kind of a cleave setup already, or as it already looks to be somewhat of a cleave setup. 100% combat readiness means that this is honestly a character that gains a lot of value as well if you decide to just build him really slow. However, there are going to be people that you could argue would not want to build him too slow, so that in case if you're fighting against a combat readiness kind of cutting character like Politis or Abyssal Euphine, you might not get punished for that. Who knows though? There's probably a few builds that you can argue for specifically. Now, the next ability is Azure Phantom, the little, the dragon, the Oni looking thing. Now, this is probably the most insane ability in his kit, and to be honest, this is part of the reason why I think Taeyou or ML Taeyou is going to look ridiculous. First and foremost, this is a 2 buff dispel from all enemies. Following this is also an 85% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns, before granting invincibility to the caster for 1 turn. Now, in addition to this, what it reads is that when you have possession, it extends the duration of the buffs on the caster by 1 turn and also grants an extra turn. Now, if this didn't seem ridiculous by itself, well, it has a Soulburn Ignore ER passive here, and in case if you're unfamiliar with what a full dispel, or not full dispel, but a 2 buff dispel, which is like most buffs in the game, to be honest, unless if you have something crazy, and a defense break looks like, this is essentially, or a similar feel to what Ran or someone like Briar Witch Iseria has, except in Briar Witch Iseria's case, her defense break is 75, where Taeyou's is 85. Now, of course, this isn't a guarantee to defense break everyone, or a guarantee to defense break everyone, but 85% chance to defense break an entire team while also stripping at the same time. Pretty impressive. Now, the other thing that's really insane about this, of course, is that if you have possession, which, of course, if you're using someone like, I don't know, ML Politis or Zio, for instance, when activating him and granting yourself possession, it gives you, like, this extra turn. Now, prior to reading a little bit closer, one of the concerns that I had about this character's kit is that, well, oh my god, it's another non-attack skill character. No, Celine or someone else has even more value, but that's not really the case here, especially because you have invincibility, and more often than not, this is going to be a character that I think will warrant or generate some RNG. Now, I do want to say that since this is invincibility and not immunity or anything like that, there is a case, or you could argue that someone like Celine could activate into the Taeyou and stun him, but whether or not that's something that you care about is neither here nor there. Now, what I will say in addition to this is that the reason why this character's kit looks so crazy is not just because of the full defense break, but you gain an extra turn, which then, reasonably warrants you asking about the skill 1. Now, the skill 1, if you're familiar with it, is very similar to what his generic S1 does, where it's an enhanced auto attack, or it's an enhanced basic attack once you have a condition activated. And for the purposes of this, assuming that you have possession, and assuming that you've used your S3 and now you have your own turn to use your S1, you now activate Roaring Spiritfall instead, which increases the attack of Taeyou for 2 turns. But also, in addition to this, all successful attacks always result in a critical attack. Now, of course, you aren't able to trigger a dual attack with this, which is fine. But to give you like a bit of a, give you a bit of a preview for what this looks like, this is a defense broken. Well, you should see just one more moment. This is with, again, an Ilanov on screen, right? Of course, there is a defense break here, but Ilanov, there's a Crow who has Aureus with the attack and the possession. 26,000 is pretty insane, if I'm being honest with you. Now, of course, you could always argue that, well, honestly, I don't really know what to argue about this. Of course, like a character like Taeyou is going to be at the mercy of fighting against characters like, let's say, Harsetti or other openers. Like as you're seeing here, there's of course a Numa Luna, but as you're also seeing on here, there's also a Frida who can perhaps cleanse out the debuffs on the Taeyou, depending on what they are. But just in general, what I think is really strong about Taeyou is that he's a sort of one-turn kill kind of unit. In the past, one of the most impactful or annoying things to fight against, maybe not so much recently, but in the past, was characters like Ran, who could use Riel and Luciel, which is the RNL artifact. And one of the most annoying things for that combo was being able to soul burn, ignore ER, defense break an entire team, and then have your choice of S1ing and doing a little bit of damage, or proccing again, like having 2 S1s with RNL, and you having 2 separate opportunities with an attack buff to guaranteed kill a target. Well, guaranteed, or more so like deal a guaranteed amount of damage to a target. Now, this is a similar feeling character, except there's no need for RNG with RNL, and instead what you're just looking at here is, well, a character that just deals a lot of damage, Again, you, in most cases, will probably have to take this character with someone like Zio, or an opener like maybe ML Luna, or not ML Luna, ML Politis, because of the way that they synergize and things like this. But just off of the rip, guys, and I'll let the footage and the B-roll play, this is probably going to be a pretty impactful character. It's been a minute since we've gotten a character that really synergizes this well with, I guess, like the characters in the, or the cleave characters in the game. There are some people that will use characters like Hua Young, or they'll use characters like Flan as their justification for, oh, well, like Cleave has gotten characters recently, but more accurately, those characters are just very strong characters that you now have to play around. This is a truly Cleave designed character that it looks like. And beyond anything else, I mean, like, look, even if you don't, okay, Rylet in this case is like a weird choice for them, but even if for whatever reason you're in team, or you're a part of team, like, use this Taeyou character as a setup to another DPS, I could definitely imagine someone like Taeyou being very powerful with ML Ludwig. I can definitely imagine someone like I don't know, the Hua Youngs of the world, or even the Flans of the world, also appreciating having a team-wide defense break. It's kind of one of these things where I'm genuinely surprised it's taken us this long to get a character that looks this crazy. But now that he's out, I've got to say, like, hats off. Oh my god, it's literally flashbanging me right now. But like, hats off to Smilegate. It is a very impressive kit. It looks very cool. It's fun to play. And nowadays, I think, especially where everyone is kind of already over and done with getting scammed into like believing that certain things are like better or worse. Oh my god, I just realized that did 18,000 damage, by the way, and that was with no defense break. In any case, though, I think having a very satisfying kit is one of the most important things for the game right now. And for me personally, what I'm seeing with Taeyou, they kind of landed the mark on this. Whether or not you want to pull for the character is kind of neither here nor there. I think that the people that love like the husbando feel from Taeyou will probably pull for him. However, in my opinion, I think what's most fun for cleavers or for people that want to play Taeyou is if you can use him with some of the other combat readiness push characters in the game. I think a defense break that's AoE and ignore ER should almost be a must pull for most cleavers, because there's always a way for cleavers to use a character like that. But now we have something interesting where it's an ML character who very obviously and understandably doesn't have any weakness, like doesn't get affected by element blindness or like the element disadvantage. So I don't know what to say. He looks really good. I think he's going to be exciting. I'm probably going to pull for him. There are probably obvious concerns with this, of course. Like, you might struggle if you play against an ML Politics because of the way the fighting spirit works, or if you might struggle if you have to fight against Elvira, or of course you could get outsped. But if you are someone that's faster and wants to play with Taeyou, this seems like a pretty cool, pretty cool opportunity. If you use him in Guild War and Arena, I could definitely also see him being quite good, especially because, well, it's an unconditional strip and ignore ER defense break. And based on what we saw there was literally an Ilanov on screen, and a Blood Moon Haste died with an Aureus. Like, I'm sorry, are we, like, what's going on here? Like, of course, we could always argue that maybe the build or, like, the setup was a little suspect, but it looks cool. He looks satisfying to play. And yeah, thanks again for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed. Taeyou looks cool. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.